think about accountability, when we think about responsibility, when we think about ownership, what are a few of the things that come up? Now, the first thing that I think of when I think of ownership is someone has done something, now whether it be positive or negative, and they are saying that, hey, the reason why this happened or the reason why this was possible is because of me. Now, oftentimes when I think of ownership, responsibility, accountability, people are very easy to put up their hands and say, hey guys, I did this amazing work. Hey, this thing that went really, really well, it happened because I was one of the main supporters. One of the places where you don't see that sort of ownership is when things go south. What happens when the project fails? What happens when you and your classmates all mess up on an assignment? What happens when at work you and your team totally don't follow your supervisor's orders and everything tanks? Is everybody quick to take ownership then? No. And first, common sense, it makes sense. Why? Because taking ownership means putting up your hand in front of everyone and saying, guys, I messed up. The reason why we failed here, the reason why we didn't get the results that we wanted, it was my fault. Now, the reason why that's hard to say is because that's a direct hit to your ego. That's a direct hit to your confidence and to your self-esteem. Now, I'm here, folks, I'm making this video because I want to talk about all the benefits of taking accountability, of taking responsibility. Right? The benefits are, in my mind, my friends, I always want to be in control. I always want to be in charge of a situation and know that I can change things. The moment, see, people think that they win when they say, was it on me? Hey, prof, hey, Dr. So-and-so, supervisor, just want to let you know, we failed this because Johnny didn't pull his half of the weight. Wasn't on me, it was Johnny. The problem I have with that is as soon as you start thinking like that, and these are ideas that you hear in psychology, that you hear from other motivational guys like Jocko Willink, Jordan Peterson, is that now there's nothing in your control. If it's Johnny's fault, I mean, I didn't have anything to do with it. That means I didn't learn, I didn't grow. Sure, I didn't make a mistake, but how did I become better? Right? What changes? Whereas, let's say we're in the same situation and I put up my hand and I go, you know what? We totally failed the mission. What I think happened was Johnny came with this totally different approach and I think it's my fault. Why? Because maybe I should have talked to Johnny. Maybe before getting this assignment, I should have made sure that we're both on the same page. Maybe I should have checked in on him halfway through just to make sure that he knew exactly what I was expecting of him and just to make sure that we were on the same boat and we knew exactly what each of us was going to do. Now, naturally, human instincts are, we want to lean towards things that make us sound right. Because it's hard to say that we're wrong. It's hard to say that it's my fault. I'm the reason that the mission failed. That was on me. Guys, I messed up. We failed because of me. That is hard to say. But when you do it over and over and over again, eventually it gets easier. And then it feels like nothing. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're going, well, Daniel, why would I want to take accountability if it's not my fault? Right? What if it really is Johnny's fault? Or whatever, right? The example that I always use is, imagine you and a person you're working on a project together, whether this may be at work, whether this may be at school, and the project totally fails because that other individual just, they slacked off. So I can do two things. Either I can say, Johnny slacked off, I did my share, it's 100% his fault. The thing, again, I don't like about that is no control. Now, if I take responsibility, I'll say, you know what? We failed. Why? Because a couple of reasons. Johnny slacked off. Now, why did he slack off? Could I have prevented it? Could I have gone up to him and be like, hey man, this is what we need from you. As a team, this is what I'm expecting the results are. This is how much I'm going to put into it. This is how much I'm expecting you to put into it. Do we have any problems? Like, is there any way that you see this going wrong? Maybe we can pick different partners. It's not too late to change. And now, let's take a step even further back. Guys, whose responsibility was it? Whose fault is it that we're partners with Johnny? Why are we partners with him? Now you're saying, well, Daniel, what if Johnny came up to you? Okay, who said yes to him? That's my fault. I said yes to Johnny. I chose to be his partner. So indirectly, I'm partly responsible. If anything, I always take responsibility. Why? Because if I take responsibility, I know that I can be better. I know that I can push myself to grow and to learn from my mistakes. Not only that, not only is it inspirational for me and encourages me to not be offended as easily, to be okay with failing, but it encourages the people around me. Because if you're sitting in a circle and the supervisor comes over saying, who messed up? It's a different environment when you're all sitting around. I've been there. Everyone's sitting around. Everyone's looking at each other. And they're thinking, everyone's thinking, it's not me. It's not me. Please don't call on me. Call on Jeff or call on Sally. All of a sudden, when someone goes, hey, you know what, supervisor, I messed up. I don't know what I was thinking. I went in there and I thought I knew what I was doing. I should have checked in. I didn't completely understand the criteria of what we were doing. Or if you're even a leader in that position, you go, you know what, I messed up. Because my members were going the wrong way, I should have checked in on them. I should have made sure that they knew the plan, they knew what was going on, they knew the method, and they knew the results that we were going for. And as soon as one person just throws themselves in harm's way, under the bus, if you will, all of a sudden the people around them are going to think two things. They're either going to think, that was close, at least they didn't get me. And a little bit of them is going to think, you know what? It might not be all Daniel's fault. And it is pretty likely that they're going to go, you know what? I was involved in it too. Like I did this too. Sometimes, man, all people are looking for is one person to stand out. And that's going to motivate the other people to also pitch in and say, you know what? I'm not totally guilt-free either. Right? I did this, or I could have pitched in more here and I chose not to. And eventually what happens is you do this behavior over and over and over again. Hopefully it will inspire people to do the same, to act like yourself in that sense. Because at the end of the day, we all make mistakes. But if we don't say, hey, that was on me, I messed up, I was wrong, how do we expect to learn and grow? And just the skill of saying, you know what? I take ownership for this. I was the reason that this messed up. Now, I can control my own actions, and I will guarantee you that I will do everything in my power to not make it happen again. As opposed to, either I did everything I was going to do, but Jeff and Sally didn't. So, was it on me? I did all I could. That's fine. But now all of a sudden, you're either extremely perfect, and there's absolutely nothing wrong, and everything that you did was perfect, which is highly unlikely. Now it's going to depend on your perspective. Or you know that you have many faults, and you just don't have the courage to face them. Look at it as you will, my friends. I would highly, highly recommend looking at books on this stuff. Getting other people's opinions on ownership, on accountability. Yes, it's hard, but I would much rather, Monday through Sunday, if there's something wrong, if I messed up, I will gladly step forward and take it and put myself out there, verbalize it myself, than have somebody else call me out on it. Just think about that for a second. Would you rather you make a mistake, you come and say, yo guys, I messed up, or you don't say anything, and then you have your friend, your supervisor, your family member, you have them call you out? What would you prefer?